Okay, this is the second video about ionic formulae, and what we're going to do now is we're going to use those ions we talked about in the last video to actually come up with the formulae of some salts. So I've got a few examples here for you. Sodium bromide, potassium nitrate, magnesium fluoride and aluminium sulfate. So what you basically need to do is compounds have zero charge. Now the ions that make up these compounds all have charges, so you need to balance out the numbers of charges for each part of the salt. So the first salt we're going to look at is sodium bromide. So the sodium ion is a 1+ ion, so Na+. The bromide ion is Br-, it is a 1- ion. So you have a 1+, you have a 1-. They cancel each other out. So that plus cancels out that minus. You only need one of those and one of those to do it, to end up with a charge of 0. So we have 1+, we have 1-, 1. So +1 minus, +1 minus 1 equals 0. So your formula is NaBr. Let's look at the next one. Potassium nitrate. So we're going to use one of our polyatomic ions this time. So again, the potassium ion is a 1+ ion. The nitrate ion, there it is a 1- ion. So think about it. What's going to be the charge this time? I've got 1+, I've got 1-. How many potassiums will I need to cancel out the nitrates? How many of those to how many of those to get 0? So again, we have 1+, we have 1-, the total is 0. So we need one of those and one of those. So KNO3. Magnesium fluoride, a little bit more tricky this one. Magnesium is a 2+ ion because it's in group 2. The fluoride is a 1- ion. There it is up there, 1-. So this time we look at our maths. We have +2, we have -1. So if we just had one of those and one of those, well, I would still actually have +1 charge, because that -1 only cancels out one of those +2s. So how many fluorides am I going to need to cancel out that +2? I'm going to need 2 of them. So MgF2. So let's think about this. So we've got a +2 ion there. We've now got, because we've got 2 fluorides, we actually have 2- there. So again, that equals 0. The last one, aluminium sulfate. So we've got, this one's quite a tricky one. We've got aluminium, which is a 3+ ion. There it is, where's it gone? There it is, there's the 3+ ion. And we've got the sulfate ion, there's the sulfate ion, which is SO4 2-. So this one's a bit more tricky. You're going to need to go in multiples for the ions. So you can't just have one of those to one of those, because you've got 3+, 2-. You'll end up with, so +3 minus 2. Well, that's going to still give me +1. We can't just have 2 sulfates, because while that would give us -4, so +3, so one of those, 2 of those. 2 of those would give us -4. Well, that's going to give us -1. We need to get to 0. So we're going to have multiples of each of these. And we need to think, you've got a 3 and a 2. Think about, well, 3 and 2, what does that go into? So if we had, in this case, 2 aluminiums, Al2, well, that's going to give us a total charge here of 6+. How could I get 6- on this side? How could I get 6- on this side? I'd need 3 of these. And to write that, because it's a polyatomic ion, we'd write that in brackets, SO4, and we'd say we have 3 of those. So that would give us our 6-. So that's our formulae. Okay, thank you. Hopefully that will help you with your questions. Please do feel free to message me with any other questions.